with that sundress, turquoise heart hanging round your neck, red lips like wine, wanna drink 'em up and keep on drinking till you make me drunk. Tied up hair, wanna let it down and just let the rest fall to the ground. You take beautiful to the max, can't help myself when you look like that. Come a little closer, come a little closer, come a little closer, girl, the way you look tonight. My eyes are the only thing I don't wanna take off of you. Come a little closer, come a little closer, come a little closer, love the way.
Jamani, tunaomba kwa Kiswahili sasa, tunaomba msogee, mkae viti vya mbele kwa sababu tuko wachache. Kwa itakuwa bora kama tukikaa viti vya mbele kuliko kuacha viti vya mbele viko wazi alafu wote tumekaa mbali kule, kwa sababu tunakuwa na majadiliano ya pamoja. Sasa kama kila mtu amekaa mbali hivyo inakuwa haipendezi, kwa sababu kama tunavyoona holi letu liko halijajaa hivyo, na viti vya uko mbele ni vizuri tu kama vya uko nyuma. Tunawaomba msogee mbele. Once more we request people to move to the front rows.
Take off for you. Come a little closer, come a little closer, come a little closer, love the way you look tonight. My eyes are the only thing I don't want to take off for you. My eyes have seen some amazing things, but girl, my eyes ain't seen nothing quite like you. Hey baby, come a little closer, come a little closer, come a little closer, girl, the way you look tonight. My eyes are the only thing I don't wanna take off of you. Come a little closer, come a little closer, come a little closer, love the way you look tonight. My eyes are the only thing I don't wanna take off of you. Come a little closer, come a little closer, come a little closer, love the way you look tonight. My eyes are the only thing I don't wanna take off of you. Think I'll grab a bottle of Patron when I get off work on my way home. Fill that hot tub full of bubble bath, kick back, relax, baby, you and me and nothing on. Got a weekend coming just in time. We're both needing what I've got in mind. What I got in mind is me and you. Into me and you, can't wait to get you all along, yeah. Lay low, stay home, and stay high. Stay up, make love all night. I wanna run my fingers over every single inch of you. Take my time, taking it slow. Stay home, stay high, and lay low. Let our kisses do the talking, girl. Take each other to another world. Feel like we're a million miles from here, somewhere out there, without going anywhere at all. Lay low, stay home, and stay high, yeah. Stay up, make love all night. sun.
I have been told that to ask if there is any minister from the SADC member countries, and if there is any minister amongst the audience here, they are requested to go to the holding room. Any minister from the SADC group, they are requested to go to the holding room. That includes ministers from the United Republic of Tanzania as well as from the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar.
Piga simu zinaita kuita. Halo. Be. Ngoja nikupeleke kwa mwenyekiti wa chakula. Haiwezekani. Mwenyekiti wa chakula si dada Subira. Ana utani. Ana utani. Ana utani. Nani ana utani? Yaani yeye Subira ana koligi ambaye ana
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are setting our next session of this meeting, and unfortunately, we are behind by almost 90 minutes, so I'll go straight into business. The session is on the theme of business environment and predictability of policies on industrial development. And in this session, we are going to focus on the roadmap, and this is particularly the SADC regional roadmap and industrialization strategy for the period 2015 to 2063. And of course, we are also going to look at other related initiatives. We have a panel of 3 ministers. We expected to get more. If other ministers will come, then they'll join us. But for now, we have 3 ministers whom I would like to introduce as follows. We have from the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Innocent Luga Bashungwa, who is the Minister for Industry and Trade. Yeah. And then we have Honorable Abdallah Ulega, who is the Deputy Minister for Livestock and Fisheries. And from the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, we have Honorable Hassan Hamis Hafidh, and he's the Minister for Trade and Industry. Now, before we start this session, let me put the issues which we're going to discuss about in context, try to contextualize them. First, we know from experience gathered over the past 400 years what actually drives industrialization. Industrialization started in the proto-industrialization, which is the stage before you go into full process of industrialization. Historically, there is an agreement that it started in the United Kingdom around the year 1600. So if you count from 1600 to date, we have more than 400 years of experience. And from that process, we have some kind of like classified facts or lessons learned. We know that wherever industrialization happened, it was fostered by a trinity of factors, or factors which we can cluster into three major groups. One, there was always political leadership was there. So we say high-level political and policy leadership. This is why we give examples of the miracle in South Korea, which was fostered by General Park Chung-hee. We know that in Malaysia, it was Mahathir Mohamad. We know that in China, it was Deng Xiaoping, and there are many other examples. So good policies, yes, but political championship must. And in the second major cluster of forces which helped countries to industrialize, we know that they created fundamental productive capacities. And these capacities we can cluster again into two groups. First, we have factors to do with financing, because industrialization must be financed. Today we talk about financing for industrialization. So you must have a financial structure, a financial system capable of financing industrialization. And we have, for instance, in the United Kingdom, initially the process was financed by the so-called rich merchants. We're also conversant of the role of the merchants of Venice, for those of you who like literature. And the situation is the same in other countries. But in addition to financing, we have a number of factors which have non-financial nature, so we call them non-financial resource capacities. This is when we refer to such things like entrepreneurship. You must have industrial entrepreneurs, because not everybody is an industrial entrepreneur. You might have a structure where most of the enterprises are outside the industrial production activities. Then, in that case, your industrialization will be delayed. Again, examples abound. We have the merchants in the United Kingdom. We have the Zaibatsu in Japan. We have the chaebols in South Korea, and so on and so on. So we should ask ourselves, who are our corporate champions in Africa? Who are the champions from the entrepreneurial sector in Africa? This is one question we need to ask ourselves. So, in addition to that, there are other non-financial resource capacities. I mentioned infrastructure and entrepreneurship, but equally you need technology. There should be people behind technologies. This again, who drive technological innovation. Again, entrepreneurs do that, but the educational system does that as well, research and development. So another variable in this context of non-financial resource capacities would be knowledge and skills, but equally important are institutions in the sense of organizations which play the role of advocacy for industrial development. If you have this in place, it is easier for you to industrialize. In the last group of this trinity, or the last dimension of the trinity, is what we refer to as the flanking measures. which will make policy work, the flanking measures which will make the capacities which you have created deliver. So here we think specifically of such factors as following your comparative advantage. For instance, you don't try to industrialize on the basis of resources which you don't have. Tanzania is a resource-rich country. We have agricultural and mineral resources. So the easiest way for us is to add value to those products where we have a comparative advantage in terms of domestic production. Yeah. Other flanking measures could be which kind of partnerships do you develop? If you make a mistake in the choice of partners, you will create a situation where your partners profit, they prosper, but you fall back all the time. This is the example which is usually used to explain the relationship between Africa and Europe, and you know that. And in this case, you can even go further and say between the European Union and the African countries, but also not only there, but of African, Caribbean, and Pacific group of nations. When we started our cooperation several hundred years back, the difference in income was like, the ratio was 1 to 9. Go compute now, and you'll see where the difference is. So people ask, did we choose a wrong partner? Do the Chinese provide a more viable partner? These are some of the questions we've got to deal with. The policy, of course, we know that the policy pillar is critical. Policy and political stewardship is important, in particular the policies, because it is those policies which are going to guide you in creating an action plan. And that action plan will comprise of everything you want to do in order to industrialize. Now, from that context, I'm going to pose a number of questions to our panelists. And I request that we agree that if I ask a question, you take about 5 minutes to answer that question, not more. So let's go into business. The first question is, it goes to Honorable Minister Bashungwa. And this question is, what are the member states, it means because we mean the SADC member states, doing at country level to domesticate regional policies such as the strategy we just talked about, the SADC industrialization strategy and roadmap 2015-2063. Yes, you come.
Thank you very much, moderator. First of all, I would like to thank fellow panelists, Honorable Abdallah Ulega, Deputy Minister for Livestock and Fisheries, as well as Honorable Hassan Hamis, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry from Zanzibar. And I would also like to thank you, this distinguished audience. The large audience shows an interest of the subject matter, so I would like to thank you very much for this good attendance. To dive into the question which you have posed to me, I can get the conversation started by using Tanzania as an example on where we at the country level in terms of making sure our country strategies are interlinked with SADC strategies. And we are on the subject of industrializing our economies. So as you mentioned, we have 2015 up to 2063 SADC industrial strategy. But just for the benefit of everyone, if you look at the strategy, the industrialization strategies, there are other two pillars. Another pillar is the regional integration, and the other one is competitiveness. And I would like to carry my discussions along those three pillars. But your question is mainly on pillar one, the industrialization. In Tanzania, what we are currently doing is to make sure policies which guide our industrialization drive, laws and regulations, we are reviewing them to make sure they are tied well with the industrialization strategy 2015 up to 2063 of SADC. That way, we prepare Tanzania to work with our brothers and sisters from other SADC member countries to work together and taken together so that the goals of SADC industrialization are met. So I urge our brothers and sisters in other SADC members to make sure we take a review of our country level policies, laws and regulations to make sure they tie well with our SADC holistic strategies. And this should not only go to the industrialization pillar, but it should also go to the regionalization pillar as well as competitiveness pillar. For example, in Tanzania, we have a number of policies which we are reviewing currently to make sure they tie well with the SADC industrialization strategy. We have a trade policy of 2003. By mentioning the year, you can see how old it is. So currently we are reviewing the trade policy of 2003 to make sure, first, it reflects the gravity of the country to industrialize and take the country to our goal to become a middle-income country by 2025. We are also reviewing SME policy of 2003 alongside the trade policy, as well as the Sustainable Industrial Development Policy, which is supposed to last next year. It's a policy which started in 1996. We also have what we call Integrated Industrial Development Strategy and Master Plan of 2011. So these policies, we are reviewing them as a pack. And the deliverable of this review, it will be the best way to make sure our national goals to industrialize meet our national goals, but simultaneously they are tied into the SADC 2015-2063 agenda. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how I would answer your question, but I hope there will be moments in this discussion where I can go in further details on this pillar as well as the competitiveness as well as the regional integration pillar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. So the main takeaway is that policies are being reviewed. So in order to align them with the SADC level blueprints, and he mentioned those policies. Now, let me move on to the second question, which will be addressed to Honorable Minister Hamis Hafid, Minister for Industry and Trade, Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. And the question is, Zanzibar, because Zanzibar is part of the United Republic of Tanzania, and therefore we are implementing related policies with regard to our integration efforts in the SADC. Now the question here is, how does Tanzania, for instance, deal with the multitude of blueprints which we have, policies, strategies, and so on? Because we know that we have these blueprints not only at national level, we have them also at regional level, just like the ones at the SADC level. Some of these blueprints are interregional, the one which requests from, for instance, wants African countries to collaborate with European countries through the economic partnership agreements. We can look at these as being interregional blueprints. Others are Pan-African, like the third industrial development decade for Africa. And we have others which are multilateral, and they have an implication on our, let's say, Tanzania's industrialization. They have an implication on industrialization in the SADC countries, like the United Nations Agenda 2030. United Nations Agenda 2030, where we have some indicators and some targets related to industrialization. So how do we deal with this multitude of blueprints? That is a simple question. I've explained some of them.
Thank you very much. As we say, Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, the question is how we deal with
Do you mind rephrasing the question so that it's clear? Yes.
In all African countries, we have policies at various levels. Some of them are national, others are regional, like in the context of the regional economic communities, one of them being SADC, where we're members. But in addition to that, we have policies, strategies, and so on, which have interregional character. For instance, those linking us with the European Union, because the European Union would like to sign, let's say, a SADC EPA agreement with the SADC countries, an EAC EPA agreement with the EAC countries. So these are called interregional. In addition to that, we have Pan-African, like the, okay, let us take IDA, maybe that is more known. Accelerated Industrial Development of Africa is a strategy which was adopted by the African countries to promote industrialization way back in 2008, and it's still active. And not only that, but we also have policies at the global level, like, let's say, like the United Nations, this Sustainable Development Goals, which is called UN 2030. And I think goal number 9, is it 9, is on industrialization. So how do we deal with all these? Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister and panelist, the question is asking about the harmonization as
Yeah.
SADC, as an Africans, wherever we are. But what we have to do is, like, if we want to develop, we should not have so many strategies and policies. What we need to have is like as a SADC, we should have one policy. I mean, the point is, the clear answer for that is to harmonize all the strategies to make it one, because we all want to achieve the same goal. SADC, as an Africans, our main goal is to eradicate poverty. And as we know that, I mean, the industrialization is the stage whereby many developed world has used to develop themselves. As we're an African, as well as we need to develop. So there's no point to have so many of these like strategies, policies, as we are all want to achieve the same goal, is to end the poverty. So my clear point is like, we need to harmonize all the policies to make it one, as well as we want to achieve the same goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now the third question goes to Honorable Abdallah Olega, Deputy Minister for Livestock and Fisheries. It is also on the same theme. And the question is whether you think there are any factors which hinder the implementation of these regional policies. Any factors which hamper the implementation of these regional policies and which solutions we have for them. Generally, integration.
Can you please, pardon, please?
Pardon?
Yeah. Can you repeat it again?
Because we're implementing
Yes.
regional policies, if you implement any policy, there is a possibility that you have factors which make it difficult for us to implement. And then how do we deal with them? Which are they? And how do we deal with them? That would be like the question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry, Innocent Bashungwa, and Honorable Hassan Hamis, the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry from the revolutionary government of Zanzibar, and the distinguished guests, moderator, thank you for the good question. What I think the first thing, as you mentioned before, when you were doing an introduction, in order to have a conducive environment and for an inclusive and sustainable industrial development, the most important thing remains those about the political will and the good policies, as we say. And if I take an example of our country, Tanzania, our government noticed the difficulty of doing, for instance, a business in Tanzania. Our leaders, especially the Prime Minister of the country, decided to make a big effort so that all those factors that hinders the issue on how and easy of doing business in Tanzania are eliminated. So, due to this political will and the efforts that we are doing, I think are the best answers on how we can deal with those factors that can hinder our idea of making things easy and industrialize our countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Maybe to recap, from Honorable Minister Hafid, we were informed that there are efforts to harmonize the policies at the various levels, and from Honorable Minister Ulega, the message we take is that Tanzania is working continuously on the ease of doing business, and there is a political will in that direction. Let us move to the next round of questions. I will start again with Honorable Minister Bashungwa. Honorable Minister, there are some people who might think that regional integration is more of a rhetoric than real thing. But I'm sure that you have some good lessons about how our regional integration efforts have been able to be transformed from just policy harmonization, policy integration, towards concrete integration and integration of our real economies. And here, integration of the real economies would definitely be manifested through how we invest with each other, how we produce, maybe we're building regional value chains, how we trade with each other, and how we harmonize our positions when it comes to taking international action. So do you have some positive lessons where we have actually been able to move from simply policy integration towards the integration of our real business? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Perhaps I should start by saying that everything, whether it's a policy or development of laws to help guide and implement the goal, it has to start with a political will. So I'm glad that within SADC, there's no doubt that our leaders are very well committed when it comes to a political will. And that's a foundation of everything that I mean, that has to be first things first. Once we have a political will, then everything becomes possible. But because if you plan anything without getting political blessings, then it's like putting a cart before the horse. And in this case, political will is the horse. So we have the political will, and we thank our leaders for that commitment. The second thing, we have to ask ourselves, do we need regional integration? The answer is obvious. We definitely do. If you look at the population of SADC countries, we are a minimum of 350 million people, which is mainly composed of youth and women who are looking for jobs. So if we have to realistically discuss how we create jobs for these youth on the SADC bloc, by uniting as countries, we become better off. We increase our chances of putting our muscles together to get to economies of scale, which everything makes sense. And this resonates with the speech our President, Dr. Magufuli, conveyed to us yesterday. So my big message is that now that we have the political will of our leaders, it's the job of the technocrats, including myself. I'm a minister, but in order for this to work, I have to move myself from the political hat, because the political hat is already being worn by my superiors. I have to coalesce around the technocrat group to make sure we walk the talk, the vision which our leaders have already conveyed to us. And to me, if we can use this week of SADC, of industrialization, to chart out how do we use the regional integration to create platforms for creating jobs? How do we unite to make sure we gain the muscles which can take us to produce on the continent with the economies of scale which makes our goods and services competitive at the global level? I think we will have spent well our time. So there's no doubt we need regional integration, and there are cases within even the East African community that we can cite which are in good progress. Our people, given the need for jobs, our economies are hungry for more revenue to provide for social services, invest in the much needed infrastructure. We could go faster than we are going. So there is a lot of room to make improvements, but that does not discount the need for regional integration. Maybe to avoid boredom, let me end there. I think more or less I've answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So the point to take away here is that we can achieve more, okay? And we should use this opportunity to chart out how we use integration to create jobs, to exploit economies of scale and economies of scope, to increase intra-regional investments, intra-regional trade, and to strengthen our negotiation position as a bloc. But Honorable Minister didn't have the statistics. Of course, we didn't expect him to have the statistics now to tell us which concrete achievements we can showcase at the moment. That is understandable. Now, we move on to the next question. And this one again goes to Honorable Minister Hafid. And the question is about our readiness as a bloc and as an individual member country in the SADC to implement the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The background to this question is that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is anchored at one of the initial stages of regional integration, the trade-driven regional integration. Because trade-driven regional integration usually goes through stages. You have an initial stage where you can have some kind of a preferential agreement, and from there you move to a free trade area. It's just a second stage of integration, and it means that you don't have deep commitments as well. And the third stage is usually customs union. And most people expected that the continental free trade area should have started at the customs union level because that is more ambitious, instead of starting as a continental free trade area where countries don't have to make very serious commitments because the integration is just at the initial stage. That is the background. But nevertheless, despite the fact that we are integrating and we are still at the very initial stage through a continental free trade area, Africans expect that the agreement will have a strong economic impact, and as we prepare ourselves to move towards a customs union. So I just wanted to give that background so that we are on the same page, and then come back to the question again. And the question is, do you think that we are ready as individual SADC member countries and as a bloc to implement the continental free trade area?
Thank you very much for the question. That's such a nice question. The question is whether we are ready or not. I think the simple word is yes, we are ready.
Okay.
That's why today we are here as a SADC members.
Yeah.
In 25 years ago, or 40 years ago, it was not easy for African countries to come together like as we are today. So, I mean, why we are here today? We are here is the only reason is we have now realized that to end poverty in Africa, in SADC members, is our role. And one of the measures that we can use, or the weapon that we can use to end poverty, is through integration. And the integration, mainly, there's two ways of integration. I mean, there's mostly like two common things in integration. One is economical improvement, and second, security. And as an African country, we want to achieve all, but mainly is economical improvement. That's why we are now trying to integrate. As my colleague, Honorable Minister said, the political will are there. We have made all the policies. We have changed our laws and regulations. That is to show and to demonstrate that we are really ready to implement the African free trade. But there is some challenges. As Mahatma Gandhi said, realization as human potential. We are here to discuss those challenges that blocked the integration of African free trade. Together, we can discuss, we can dialogue, and ending all those challenges, turn challenges into fursa that Tanzania and SADC country, we can move forward as a SADC, as East Africa, as an Africa. But the point is, we are really ready to implement African Free Trade Agreement. We know and we understand through this African Free Trade Agreement, we can create job, we can create movement of whatever, goods and services, that will make Africans, those people who called African as a poor country, one day they will know Africa is not poor. It's only that we are using that we are not producing. And through to implement African Trade Agreement, it will make us to use what we are producing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Honorable Minister. The simple takeaway message here is that we are ready, and we are ready because there is a political will, but we are ready because we have some of the economic fundamentals in place. And we know that there are challenges which we can together address through dialogue. Now, let us move on to the next question, and this is I would like to ask this question to go back to Honorable Minister Bashungwa and seek some kind of clarification about our readiness. In particular, can you explain in a few words why we think that even at this stage of implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, it is going to have a strong economic impact on African countries? Why do you think that it's going to have a strong economic impact? Although the integration itself is not very deep, it's still shallow integration because we are still at the initial stage.
Thank you, moderator. You have given me a tough question here. Just a few words. I've already used the few words which you have asked me to use before I've even answered the question. So if you will allow me, maybe a few sentences I can try.
Yes.
I must say that, and I'm on the record about this Africa Continental Free Trade Area, I've been reminding fellow Africans that this is a new shiny thing. It's exciting, but it's worthwhile to take time to deliberate on it Because if you look at where we are already, within the East African community, within SADC, we have not optimized the full potential that remains in these regional economic blocks. So now we have a new shiny thing alongside these other economic blocks that we have. My word of caution is, let's not forget that we should optimize all the potential within EAC, we should optimize the potential within SADC, alongside dealing with this new shine thing, which is equally exciting and has a potential. For me, it's an extension of all the potential that we can garner in the other economic blocks which have been there for quite some time. There are challenges which we need to address. So let's not have too many balls that we are juggling, and there is a risk of dropping some because you have too many at the same time. So I'm not saying let's not go with full speed with the African Continental Free Trade Area, but we have time to deliberate, strategize, without the urge for rushing, because we still have other balls which we need to do better, including SADC, which has brought us here in Dar es Salaam. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now, let us move on to the next question, but I would like to remain in the same area and ask Honorable Minister Ulega a very short, that's a straightforward question. How, Honorable Minister, do you think that small economies, because some of the economies are small in Africa, even in our SADC region, you have the Eswatinis, and the Lesothos, and yeah. Now, how are these small economies which have less manufacturing capacity going to benefit from the African Continental Free Trade Area?
Thank you very much, moderator. Na kwa umuhimu wa swali hilo, kama ulivyosema kwamba straightforward question, na mimi naomba nijibu moja kwa moja, na kwa faida ya wasikilizaji walio wengi humu ambao wanazungumza Kiswahili, nitafurahia zaidi nikizungumza Kiswahili, kwamba katika umoja wa namna hii ya SADC hakuna small economy, hakuna uchumi mdogo. Mkisha kuwa wamoja, wote mna nguvu sawa. Lilo la muhimu pale ni ule wingi wetu. Kwa hivyo ndio muhimu sasa wa kukutana na kuunganika kama hivi leo. Waswatini kama wana cha kuwauzia wa Tanzania, kutokana na kuondoka kwa vile vikwazo, wanaweza kutuuzia moja kwa moja. Lesotho pamoja na uchache wao, kama wana cha kuwauzia wa Tanzania, watawauzia bila kikwazo chochote. Wa Tanzania kama tuna nyama au samaki wa kuwauzia wa Zambia, pamoja na wingi wetu ndio tunakwenda kuwauzia. Kwa hivyo umoja wetu ndio ushindi wetu. Kwa hivyo katika umoja hakuna uchache. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. So, in unity there is no small economy. In unity there are no small economies, because unity empowers even those small economies. Key message here. Now allow me to move to the next question, next round of questions. And these have a connection with they are connected to the fundamental productive capacities which countries must create in order to be competitive internationally. And we know that one of those competitive capacity, one of those fundamental capacities have something to do with financing, in this particular case, financing for industrialization. Now the question is, and it goes to Honorable Hafiz, the question is, can we say that our financing structure at the country level, I mean here financing for industrialization, does it allow our countries to become competitive at the regional level? The financing for industrialization we have now, does it allow us to be competitive at the regional level? Or do we have some challenges there?
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, and panelists. The question is the competitiveness of regional level, whether are we competitive enough or not, the financing. First of all, we have all to remember there's a key factor that there is some key factors that not only finance that will make us to become competitive, but there's the skills that we always need, and also technology in industrial level. I mean, to do with finance, to be honest with you, what I can see is there's a lot of help and assistance to our regional level. Like here in Tanzania, I can remember President Magufuli clearly mentioned that we have to do all means, all banks has to be ready to help and assist some industrialization areas. And also there in Zanzibar, as a Minister of Trade, we have got the policies, laws, and regulations has been changed. And the financial institutions, today if you are walking into the banks and asking them to give you loan, if you want to have an industry, I'm sure the banks are ready. They will just want your business plan, this and that. So it is clearly that, I mean, the environment has made it very friendly for the industrialization inter-regional level. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now we are coming to our last two questions. And these questions will go, the next one will go to Honorable Minister Olega, the last but one. And Honorable Minister, you know that we now have a problem between the United States and China. What they're engaged in is a sort of a trade war, a serious one. Do you think it's going to have an impact on our regional integration, and in particular in the SADC region? How is it going to impact on us in the SADC region?
Thank you very much. Mvutano wa kibiashara kati ya China na Marekani unaweza kutuathiri sisi kwa kiasi gani kama nchi za kusini mwa jangwa la Sahara tunaungana katika hii SADC? Kwa vyovyote vile sisi kama mataifa ambayo tunafanya biashara hapa duniani na mataifa haya makubwa, mvutano huo hauwezi kukosa athari kwetu. Ziko kwa vyovyote vile athari chanya, lakini ziko athari hasi. Ikiwa athari, mimi ningechukua nafasi kwa ufupi sana kuzungumzia zile chanya. Bado sisi advantage tunayo kubwa kama mataifa ya SADC. Wao wanapovutana hawa wakubwa ambao kwa kiasi kikubwa sana sisi ninadhani kuwa ni soko lao la biashara ambazo wanazozizalisha katika nchi zao, na kwa hivyo nafasi hiyo ya wao wanaposhindana, na hisi tukijipanga vyema tukatumia sisi kuzalisha hapa nyumbani na kuuziana wenyewe na kutumia wingi wetu kama advantage as a SADC countries, itatusaidia kupiga hatua ya kimaendeleo, jambo ambalo naweza kuliona kuwa linaweza kuwa ni kikwazo wakati mwingine wakubwa hawa wanapovutana. Labda ni transfer ya mitaji na technologies ambazo tulikuwa tukizitaraji kutoka katika nchi moja, aidha Marekani ama China, vitu vya namna hiyo. Kwa hivyo kwa ufupi sana naweza tu kusema kuwa kwa namna ninavyoona sisi kama SADC countries tunazo faida na vile vile tunazo hasara zinazoweza kupatikana kutokana na mvutano wa kibiashara baina ya mataifa haya makubwa ya Uchina na wa Marekani. Lakini narudia tena kusema kuwa tuna kila sababu kama anavyosema Mheshimiwa Rais wetu Daktari John Pombe Joseph Magufuli kuwa wingi wetu ni faida. Kwa hivyo na sisi kadiri tunavyozalisha tuna uwezo wa kuuziana sisi wenyewe hapa Tanzania, hapa SADC countries, na tukainua uchumi wetu. Kwa hivyo wingi wetu ni faida, na wakati mwingine tunahitaji kuutumia vyema, na kwa mwendo huu tunaokwenda nao ninaamini kabisa kuwa tutafanikiwa. Asante sana.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So the message is there are advantages and challenges, and for me, the most important takeaway message is that we are also an economic power, and we can thrive in spite of the trade war if we decide to work seriously within the region and within our individual countries as SADC member countries. Thank you. Now, now the last question goes to Honorable Minister Bashungwa. The question of international partnership has always been a critical question when it comes to the development of nations. In Africa, we usually call about development partners, but in critical circles, people say, are they development partners or underdevelopment partners? Because how can you have partners for 50, 60 years and you don't develop? So in a more critical academic circle, this is what probably people will say. The question is simple. Do you think that Africa has always been very careful when it comes to choosing partners? And whether you answer yes and no, and then you should tell us why.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Maybe it's a way to test us whether we are awake or not, but I tell you I'm awake. Let me answer the question this way. I think as long as we continue with this new paradigm that we are pushing on the African continent, basically realizing that private sector driven development is more sustainable. It's going to create jobs. It's going to grow our economies in a sustainable manner. Then I would say that aid in the old ways, in the past, it was a handout. And the key word there was foreign aid, okay? So the handout is just like that classical expression that if you teach somebody how to fish, they are going to gain the skills and fish for themselves the rest of their lives. But if you hand out fish, they will come and beg for another fish the next day because we're hungry on hourly basis, basically. So for Africa, as long as we have moved from the foreign aid paradigm of development, and now we are emphasizing on private sector-driven development as the sustainable model for poverty alleviation and promoting economic growth. And if we can emphasize on demand-driven development approach as opposed to supply-driven development approach, which was tied with the foreign aid model. Foreign aid model was basically supply-driven. And somebody is coming to you and saying, I think this is what you need. Instead of you saying, this is what I need, so either you give me a hand or I move on in my own ways. So the beauty of the private sector-driven development is that it's demand-driven. It's what we as Africans know is what works because we want to create jobs. We want our economies to grow in a sustainable manner. As long as we emphasize this private sector-driven development to be backed up by articulating our needs, and then the development partners supporting in the basket which we have already articulated and prioritized in our budget cycles, we are going to be fine. And in this case, development support becomes instrumental in our priorities. So, I don't know if you are trying to see if I'm awake or not. I hope my answer has proven that I was awake when you asked that question. Thank you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Waziri. I think there is simultaneous translation, isn't it? Asante sana Mheshimiwa Waziri. Nadhani umelijibu vizuri swali. The key takeaway message here is that Africa must come of age because you cannot be a toddler forever. Africa must move away from foreign aid dependency and focus on building own private sector and realize that the private sector has got an important role to play in the development of this country. Although some people will say probably not necessarily the private sector, but the business sector. Because if you look at the Chinese development model, the key force behind China's industrialization are the so-called village enterprises. These are the ones which have enabled that country to compress the industrial transformation process from hundreds of years which Europe and the other countries, European and other countries like the United States or Japan needed into 30 years. And because they had this, it was like a mass industrialization movement involving all stakeholders. And in this case, in fact, involving the weakest stakeholders, the village, the rural people, through the creation of these rural industrial enterprises. So probably the model for Africa is we are not averse to the private sector. Our culture is a culture which embraces private property. But equally important, probably we shouldn't be averse of the public sector, public enterprises, because we know that they can also deliver, provided we do it properly. Now, going back to the context of this workshop, when I say that there are certain things which countries need in order to achieve industrial transformation, and we know that we need policy, we need political and policy stewardship, but we also need to put in place the fundamental capacities for industrialization, and all that flavored with flanking measures which are necessary in order to make the policies work in particular. Then we should say that Africans, we must be watchful, learn lessons from others, integrate the lessons which are positive, and to use Honorable Minister Bashungu's words, but probably expressed otherwise, is that we are ready to work. We should be ready to work with partners, but we should be ready to work with them at our own terms, not at their terms. So with those few words, I would like to indicate that we have come to the end of this session, and it was important that we do so because we still have another session. And thank you very much for, I'm not sure we are going to take a round of questions from the floor before we can release the panelists. But before we do that, there is an urgent announcement. Okay, because we are so late, but nevertheless, this is supposed to be a two-way communication, we allow a round of questions. There's three questions, okay? One question to, maybe the best way to do is that every minister gets a question, okay? Who would like to be the first one to pose a question? Ladies first. Do we have a lady there? No gender balance, okay. You do, and then, okay. Yeah, you can ask your question.
Hello, my name is Gaspar Mde, and I'm coming from Da Technohama Business Incubator, or COSTECH, the Commission for Tanzania Science and Technology. My question is, I've had a lot of conversation on the industrialization, and I do recognize that we are heading to the fourth industrial revolution, which is basing on Internet of Things, issues kama za artificial intelligence na vitu kama hivyo, na ICT imechukua nafasi kubwa sana kwenye hilo. Sasa nilikuwa nataka kujua tu ni jinsi gani ambavyo mapinduzi haya yanakwenda sambamba na kuja na policies ambazo zinaweza kuchangia sisi kuchukua nafasi au kuchukua fursa ya kuwa moja ya watu ambao tunatumia ICT katika kuja na teknolojia zinazoweza kutuwezesha kukimbia kwa kasi ambayo inatakikana katika maendeleo ya viwanda. Nashukuru.
Who would like to take that? Yes, Honorable Bashungwa.
Thank you very much. This is a very good question. It reminds me of my economic courses back then when I was a youth. If you look at the Cobb-Douglas function, that the output is a factor of two main independent variables, the K, capital, the hard assets, and L, labor. But it was improved to include total factor productivity, and that's where the technology comes in. But as time goes, this third variable, total factor productivity, technology, is becoming a big component which influences K and L. So that does not make Africa an exception to this. We have to invest in make sure our school curriculums reflect this reality of the day, to become competitive. We have hard assets. Some of them are natural endowments given by God. But without L, labor, and in this case we are talking of how is our workforce competitive. And we are speaking of combining our economies, making sure we have economies of scale so that the unit labor cost, the unit capital cost per unit of a good or service provided is competitive compared to the other producers around the world. So in order for us, we can discuss regional integration very well, industrialization, but it boils down to how competitive are we? And if we are not competitive enough, how much are we investing in our workforce existing? How much are we investing in our young children so that when they enter the workforce, they graduate from universities with requisite skills, including these fancy technological developments you described, artificial intelligence and whatnot. So I've used the Cobb-Douglas function to answer your question. I hope it was relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I would like to take a second question. Do we have a lady at last? Yes, there's a lady over there. Madam.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, we understand that for the country to industrialize, pardon? Okay. We understand that for a country to industrialize, we need at least 15%. Mine.
Maybe you should use the next one over there. Yeah.
Maybe this one.
Yeah. And you come a bit closer to that one.
I'm too short. Hello?
No, it doesn't work.
Okay. We understand that for a country to industrialize, we need at least 15% of the population to be STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But currently, most of the African countries, including Tanzania, is only 2%. What is the strategy that SADC is using to create a critical mass of scientists to drive the industrialization? And we are lucky that we have 3 centers of excellence in Tanzania, but there's a very big gap. Mandela, Botswana, and Burkina Faso. But I don't see much effort to utilize these universities to diversify and transform our industries. So mine, I don't know whether it's a question, but we need a really strategy of how to create this critical mass of scientists. That is one. There was also an agreement to have 1% of the budget to be in research and development. Without research and development, we cannot industrialize. Other countries, they're investing heavily in research and development. What are we doing as SADC countries to have an affirmative action to put our effort in research and development? Lucky enough, I'm currently working with Nelson Mandela, coordinating a conference of about 1,000 scientists, which will be here in Tanzania, Arusha, where they are meeting to talk about recent innovations, research for industrialization, to harness the African materials that will drive industrialization. Because, as they said in the morning, I don't know who said it, without using our own materials, we cannot industrialize. I just hope all the SADC countries will embrace and use this conference, which will take place in Arusha, to make sure that we harness the innovations. We take the innovations and incubate them, the research results for industrialization. We are like the president, the president of the African Material Research Society. Please, make sure every African country is selling our manufacturers, is selling our academicians, so that we can use this opportunity for diversification. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Does anybody want to respond to that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. You are very clever in making sure you promote the conference in Arusha, so I congratulate you on that one. Besides the promotion, I think I more or less answered the question when I was addressing the issue of competitiveness. And luckily, even in my introductory remarks, I mentioned that if you look at the SADC, there are three main pillars. There is regional integration pillar, there is competitiveness pillar, and there is industrialization pillar. So in the competitiveness pillar, the concerns which you raised, the goal of the competitive pillar is to focus on exactly what you just said, alongside what I answered when I was talking about, yes, we can have good regional integration strategy as SADC countries. We can have very good industrialization strategy as SADC countries, but we should not forget in investing in our workforce to become competitive in the global competition. And that's precisely the concern you have brought up. So the good way to start for you and us is to look at the competitiveness pillar of SADC. We can tear it apart and make sure we build it in a way that reflects this need and the realization that we are discussing. And why not, let's use this week to do just that. Thank you.
Short, please, make it short.
I'm not giving the question. I would like to advise, as Tanzania go to the Industrial Revolution, we have a lot of lack of skills worker in Tanzania or in general within the region. The government should be put an effort so we can be able to achieve the goal of industry if we want really to implement the policy of labor for locals. Otherwise, we can put the industry in Tanzania and then our job will be taken by foreigners. This is one. Tanzania, we don't have institution which can create a designer for industry. A school, we don't have it. How can we able to achieve our goal of industry? We talk about industry buy machine from China, from Germany, and put in Tanzania, and then manufacture, and that's what we call industrial country? No. We want the industrial country where we can be able to design our own industry, to design our own machines. Like the Indian has done, the Chinese has done, they just come with this way. So the government should put an effort with the CEDO and other institutions to empower them. Machine tool in Moshi. I visit Sabasaba and I talked to them and I found the government has not opened door for them financially. So every day a simple machine of to make maize we buy from China or India. This is not going to give us impact we want. And the third, we should introduce apprentice policy. For those who are qualified, finish education from the school, they call themselves engineers. They can't do the job. So I studied Scandinavia. We have a 1 year to go to industry before you can achieve your bachelor or your diploma on your hand. You're giving only school certificate, because there you study theory, and then should be a policy that you must implement what you learn from the school. Our institution doesn't have the facility. And where are they going to get this facility? By private sector. But the government should put this as a policy, apprentice, either 6 months, in Scandinavia is 1 year. Then you go back to your school and do exam of practical education, which is you learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, please, that brings us to the end, because we still have other activities Please. No, because I'm the one who is supposed to manage this, and I have instructions from the organizers. And I would like to thank everybody for your participation. A special thanks to our honorable ministers, and maybe a clap for them for the job well done. But because that was a contribution, it was not a question. I have been asked by the organizers to ask honorable ministers to remain at the high table to witness the launch of the SADC Investment and Business Environment Project. And that brings
Excuse me, Professor Matambalia, our moderator.
Yes.
Honorable Minister would like a little bit to contribute on the advice from a member, and perhaps to answer some questions he raised. So please, can we explain? Yes.
Okay.
So naomba nianze mimi kwa sekunde moja, alafu atakuja Mheshimiwa Hafidh, na mwisho atamalizia Mheshimiwa waziri wetu, Mheshimiwa Bashungwa. Kwanza kwa upande wangu, labda kuhusiana na advice aliyoitoa ndugu yetu hapa kwamba tumejiandaaje juu ya tunapozungumzia Tanzania ya viwanda, kama serikali ya Mheshimiwa Rais Magufuli tunaposema kila mara. Je, hatuoni kuwa kama hatukujiandaa vyema, hizo ajira zenyewe pia zitachukuliwa na watu wengine? Mimi naomba nitoe mfano wa wizara yangu ya mifugo na uvuvi, ambayo tuna vyuo kama vile vya LITA vinavyoshughulika na masuala ya mifugo, lakini vile vile tuna vyuo vya FETA vinavyoshughulika na masuala ya uvuvi. Kule tunawatengeneza vijana, na wale vijana tunawatengeneza kwamba wawe tayari katika mazingira yoyote, ikiwa mazingira ya kuajiriwa au mazingira ya kwenda kujiajiri wao wenyewe. Tuna centers. Kwa mfano nikichukulia center kama ya Tengeru pale Arusha, vijana wanatengenezwa, wanajifunza juu ya kuhandle issue za ng'ombe wa maziwa, kuanzia kumtunza ng'ombe mwenyewe. Wana curriculum, mtaala mzuri sana unaomfundisha kijana kuwa tayari, hata akitoka pale Tengeru anao uwezo yeye yule kijana kuanzisha hata kiwanda kake yeye mwenyewe kakusindika maziwa. Kwa hivyo haya ni maandalizi mazuri ambayo sisi tunaamini sisi wa Tanzania na SADC countries tunaweza. Na mimi ninadhani ni vizuri sana sisi wa Tanzania tujipe nafasi pia ya kujifunza kuona kama je, vitu tunavyo au vitu hatuna. Bado tuna tatizo kubwa sana wakati mwingine la kujidharau sisi wenyewe. Nataka niwahakikishieni fursa tunayo, vijana wetu wako wengi, tena wako nondo ile mbaya. Labda nitumie lugha hiyo kidogo. Wako vizuri sana. Viwanda vingi humu vimekuwa vikitulalamikia hatuna wataalamu sijui wa kusindika maziwa, hatuna sijui wataalamu wa kutengeneza nyama kukata katika mikato mbalimbali, hatuna sijui wataalamu wa kuprocess ngozi, hatuna sijui wataalamu wa vyakula vya mifugo. Ukweli ni kwamba tunao. Nataka niwahakikishieni tunao na tusirudi nyuma. Kila jambo ni hatua, na hatua tulionayo ni hatua nzuri sana. Niliona nichukue ushauri wa ndugu yetu, na nataka nikuhakikishie ushauri wako tunauchukua kwa ajili, ndio maana kila mara sisi kama serikali tumekuwa tukiboresha mitaala yetu ili iendane na mahitaji ya soko inavyohitaji. Kwa hivyo mimi niliona nichangie kwa kiasi kidogo, labda nimkaribishe na Mheshimiwa Hafidh kama na lolote mwisho amalizie Mheshimiwa Waziri mwenyeji wetu Mheshimiwa Bashungwa, hasa hili la machines. Naamini kabisa anayo ya kuzungumza katika maeneo haya. Asante sana.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Actually, I have to thank you for such a nice question that you have posed. Let me give you an answer for this very nice question in Kiswahili that it will be nice and sweet. Unajua nchi nyingi za Afrika ni kweli kwamba tumekwenda katika industrialization, katika kuhamasisha kuwa na viwanda, lakini hofu yetu ni kwamba tutakuwa na viwanda lakini kazi zetu zinaweza zikachukuliwa na wageni. Ni hofu nzuri, wasiwasi ndo akili, lakini let me ensure you that kwamba tumelijua hilo, na ndio maana vyuo vikuu vyote sasa ukiangalia vimebadilika, vina different modules, vinasomesha about industrializations. Zote nenda from colleges, ukienda universities, hata katika huko skuli ndogo ndogo, ile topic ya viwanda ipo na inasomeshwa, baada ya Tanzania kuona umuhimu wa viwanda na kuogopa hilo kuja kazi zetu kuchukuliwa na wageni. Lakini kazi hii haifanywi na serikali peke yake. Hii ni kazi yetu sote sisi, tushirikiane. Kama wewe umesoma Scandinavia, it's a time now to come back home, kwa kujua kwamba wakati umefika wa kujenga Tanzania yetu, wa kujenga Afrika yetu, kwa kukimbia lile tulolisema kazi zetu zichukuliwe na wageni. This is a time to react. Sasa lakini la pili umeongelea kuhusu zile mashine, tuna design mashine zetu instead ya kwa tunaletewa mashine kwa matumizi. Mwenyewe umeongelea SIDO. Hiyo ni realization. Ni jibu enough kwamba Tanzania imeliona hilo na tunalijua hilo, ndio tumeanza create union department kama SIDO na nyingine ambazo zitakuwa zinashughulikia area hiyo kutengeneza mashine. Juzi hata mimi nilikuwa SIDO pale, unaona kuna mashine ambazo zinatengenezwa na Watanzania kwa matumizi ya Watanzania, kwa faida ya Watanzania. Hiyo ni kurealize. Ndio maana tumebadilika. Tumechoka na kutengezewa vitu, kuletewa vitu tukatumia and then vinakufa, vinabakia huko hatujui tuvitumiaje. That is a realization. Lakini chengine umesema kama ile system wanaoitumia Scandinavian wanaita skill study, yani unasoma huku unafanya na ule uzoefu. Ni kitu kizuri, ni kitu kizuri instead of kukaa katika maskuli kulearn theories tu. Na hiyo ilianzia Uingereza baada ya kuona manasi waliofanywa research ya kuonekana wana theory nyingi kuliko kupractice. Waingereza wakarealize, wakasema utakaa darasani siku 2, siku zilizobakia zote utakwenda hospitali kufanya ile training. Ni kitu kizuri, lakini Tanzania nayo tumerealize. Ukiangalia kuna sekta nzima ya ualimu sasa, hawakai tu university kujifunza, wanakwenda maskuli kusomesha na supervisor wako. Nachotaka kukuambia kwamba sisi viongozi tumeyaona hayo, na ndio maana tumechange sheria zetu, tumechange policy zetu ili aweze kuoana na Tanzania viwanda tunayoitaka. Nachotaka kusema kwamba Tanzania viwanda inawezekana, na sisi time sote tu concern na hilo swala la viwanda ili tuweze kuendelea. Swala la viwanda lina maana mbili. Ya kwanza create ajira, lakini ya pili revenue. Asante, naomba kuwasilisha.
Moderator, nashukuru, na mimi nimalizie kwa kuongezea machache, wenzangu wamejibu vizuri, na nataka nimpe tu confidence ndugu yetu Slim kwamba tumuondoe wasiwasi. Kwanza changamoto zako za kiwanda umeshanipa hapa, kwa hiyo nitahakikisha zinatatuliwa. Wenzangu wameongea vizuri, na yani kikubwa hapa hatuhitaji wala kudiscriminate ile hard K inatoka wapi, kwa sababu ukiangalia kwenye bara letu la Afrika, vijana na akina mama wanahitaji ajira, na tumezungumzia ni kwa nini tunataka twende kwenye kuhakikisha tunakuwa competitive, tunafikia level ya economies of scale. Sasa ikija kwenye upande wa labor, tuna vijana wanatafuta ajira na akina mama wanatafuta ajira. Ile K, kuna baadhi ya K tunazo bandari. Sasa tunazungumzia SADC. Kwa Tanzania nitakwambia bandari, nitakwambia reli ya kisasa na nini, hizo zote ni hard K, sawa? Sasa tunachotakiwa kufanya ni hii labor ambayo tunayo, kuna zile practical skills ambazo zinahitajika. Mheshimiwa Ulega amezungumzia na Mheshimiwa Hamisi. Tunapozungumzia mikakati na review ya sera, inahusisha pia kuhakikisha kuna institutional building, na hizo institutions kama ni vocational training tunazireview kureflect industrialization agenda yetu. Kwa hilo, kwa mfano nimetembelea kwenye viwanda vya textiles, tumeshaelekeza SIDO, ofisi ya Waziri Mkuu, National Economic Empowerment Council, TEMDO, wakae na wenye viwanda hawa wafanye ile custom made needs skills wanazozihitaji kwenye hivi viwanda, ili vijana wetu wapate, ni short course, unaweza kukuta ni miezi miwili wameshapata skill set za namna hiyo. Kwa hiyo vitu vingine tunaenda case by case. Kwa hiyo nitaka nikuondoe wasiwasi, hata wewe kwenye viwanda hospitality industry ya kwako ya Bagamoyo, kama una specific area ambayo unahitaji ujuzi wa vijana wetu, wewe njoo ofisini, taasisi tunazo zitakaa na wewe na kuhakikisha unapata hiyo skill set. Lakini sisi kama bara la Afrika, kama ni finance, wala hatuhitaji kudiscriminate, inatoka east, inatoka west, as long as sisi vyombo vyetu na sheria zetu tunahakikisha inakuwa ni clean capital ambayo tuna leverage na capital tulionayo kwa ajili ya kukuza uchumi wetu. Kama ni mashine, kama ni teknolojia, hata Asian Tigers, ukiangalia South Korea, sawa, ukiangalia Singapore, wao waliweza kukopi kutoka west kwa sababu workforce yao ilishakuwa na zile skill sets ambazo ni kwa wao kujifunza, kama ni kudesa inakuwa rahisi. Na sisi Afrika tunachotakiwa kufanya ni kuhakikisha workforce yetu, the future workforce, hao watoto wetu ambao wako primary, wako sekondari, kuwajengea aptitude skills, sayansi na teknolojia, ambayo kama ni mambo ya kujifunza kutoka kwa mwingine, kama ni through FDI, ukimwatachi na yule ambaye ana uzoefu kutoka labda nchi za mashariki au magharibi, baada ya muda mfupi hizo skills tunaweza tukaziretain hapa. Kuna succession plan. Kwa hiyo nitaka ni kuhakikishie kwamba industrialization as a pact tunayoizungumzia, hata issue ya competitiveness, workforce yetu, tayari serikali tuna institutions ambazo zina review curriculum kuhakikisha mahitaji ya viwanda tunavyotaka kuvijenga, tunakuwa tuna workforce ambayo ina uwezo wa kukutana na hilo hitaji la private sector. Baada ya kusema hayo, mimi nimshukuru sana Mheshimiwa Naibu Waziri Abdalla Ulega, na nimshukuru sana Mheshimiwa Hamisi kwa pano hii. Nimeenjoy sana kushiriki na wao katika kuengage na nyinyi. Tunawashukuru sana, mmekuwa audience nzuri na wingi wenu umeonyesha kwamba hii subject matter ambayo tumeijadili it's of interest on SADC. Kwa hiyo nawapongeza sana, tuendelee kuwa wamoja ili wiki yetu ya viwanda vya SADC tuitumie vizuri, na tuna secretariat ambayo inachukua mawazo mazuri ambayo mnatupa ili sisi tutakapokaa makatibu wakuu, baada ya wiki ya viwanda watakaa wa SADC, watachuja na maoni yote ambayo mnatoa. Sisi mawaziri kutoka nchi za SADC tutakaa, alafu baada ya hapo viongozi wetu wa nchi wakikaa, basi yale mazuri yote, ushauri wote ambao mmetoa tutawapelekea mezani, ili sasa ile kasi ambayo tunahitaji ya kwenda SADC ya kujenga uchumi, SADC ya kutengeneza ajira ya vijana akina mama tuweze kuipata. Na washukuru sana.
Asanteni sana waheshimiwa mawaziri, naona mmechukua muda kidogo, lakini ilikuwa ni muhimu kutoa huo ufafanuzi. So I have come to the end of my duties for you. And the next session will be the launch of the SADC Investment Business and Environment Project. And it will be moderated by my sister here. So I'd like to hand over the moderation to her. And of course, when she finishes, we'll still ask you to stay around and listen to a few announcements from the organizers. Thank you, Madam. Take over. They should stay. They say the minister should stay and grace the launch of SADC.
Good afternoon. Before we start, may I ask the representatives from the EU and SADC Secretariat to come up front. Once more, good afternoon, or is it good evening? My name is Barbara Lopi from the SADC Secretariat, Communications and Public Relations. I'll be moderating this section. Let me begin by recognizing the presence of our Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister, Honorable Innocent Bashungwa, Minister for Industry and Trade in the United Republic of Tanzania, the Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries from the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Abdallah Ulea, and also the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry for the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, Honorable Hassani Kamiz Hafida. And then let me also recognize the two gentlemen who've just joined. On my immediate left, we have Mr. Kay Paplis from the European Union in Brussels. I'll give his specific title later when I'm introducing him to come on the podium. And also next to him, we have the Director for Finance, Investment and Customs at the SADC Secretariat, who is also sitting in for the Executive Secretary of SADC, who is unable to join us this evening due to another engagement, and that is Mr. Sadwish Mutonakuta. So you're very welcome to this event. It's going to be a very short event. We are here to witness the launch of a new product, a product that will, among others, help us as a region in operationalizing and implementing the theme of the 39th SADC Summit, which is focusing on ensuring that there is a conducive environment for inclusive and sustainable industrial development, that there is increased intra-regional trade as well as job creation. The product we're about to launch, which is the support to improving investment and business environment, in short, SIBE, is a 5-year program which will be implemented by the SADC Secretariat, of course with the support of member states, and it is to the tune of 14 million euros provided by the European Union under the 11th European Development Fund. At this point, allow me to invite to the podium Mr. Kay Paplis, who is the head of unit for investment and innovative financing at the European Union in Brussels, to give a brief presentation on external investment plans of the European Union. Mr. Paplis, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and members of the media, it's a real pleasure for me to be here at this launching event of the SADC Support to Investment and the Business Environment program. Why is that? That is because the EU is convinced that investment is crucial to make the industrialization a reality in the SADC region and on the continent. This is obviously also the reason why I made the trip from Brussels here today, because this program also exemplifies how investment is becoming and has become front and center of the EU's development cooperation policy. I introduced you earlier today to the EU External Investment Plan, which includes an integrated approach with 3 pillars. That is not only a set of guarantee products, technical assistance funds to de-risk investment, but also as a central and crucial part, efforts to improve the investment environment in partner countries, because that is the ultimate goal. You want to encourage and attract investment without additional guarantees and subsidies and grants being necessary. And this is what the investment environment is really all about, and that is why the SIBE program is so important for us and for SADC, and we are extremely glad about this cooperation. As part of the overall investment climate, the business environment is certainly one of the most important aspects for potential investors. I think we're all aware of that, and I think the program of yesterday and today has made that very clear to us. Because this is how a country effectively demonstrates its willingness and its ability to welcome private investors, no matter whether they're domestic or they're foreign investors. This is clearly an area where one can make a difference and where the development impact can be so tremendous. So given that the SADC region has the ambition to become an attractive region for investment, an even more attractive region for investment, I should say, the SIBE program really is extremely relevant and timely. I would like to acknowledge the huge work that SADC and the EU have done, in particular my colleagues in the SADC, in the delegation in Gaborone, where the Secretariat is based, the huge work they have done to support the business environment in the region, and how, building on this successful experience, we are now launching the new program to advance even more on improving and enabling business environment conducive to inclusive and sustainable economic growth and job creation. Because that's ultimately what it's all about. It's about long-term growth potential and the job creation that it fosters and supports. I would therefore like to thank you for all of that. And obviously now is the time to move to the implementation stage, because implementation, as we know, is always crucial. And I wish you all a great success in implementing this very important program. And it was a pleasure to be here, and I thank you again for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Paplis. It's been a long day, but we have a very short program. At this point, let me invite to the podium the SADC Director for Finance, Investment and Customs, Mr. Sadwick Mtonakuta, who is just going to give us a picture of what our region looks like from the regional investment and business environment perspective, as well as give us a brief on the product that we're launching, which is the support to improving investment and business environment in the SADC region. Mr. Mtonakuta.
Thank you, moderator. And let me recognize also the EU representative, Mr. Paplis, delegates to the Industrialization Week. Good evening. What I will do is to link to what you were discussing with the ministers, just to paint a picture of how the region looks in terms of investment and where the program which is being launched is filling the gaps identified thereof. I'll use a bit of technology. My colleagues should help me there. Innocent. Okay. The first slide there is just to tie with the regional vision. The regional vision is that we want to industrialize. And there is by endangering a major economic and technological transformation at the deeper, at national and regional level within the context of deeper regional integration. This is to accelerate the growth momentum and enhance the comparative and competitive. Those two words are very important, comparative and competitive advantage of the economies of the region. And if you are, those that are familiar with the SADC industrialization regional strategy and roadmap, what inspired that strategy was that there are 3 binding constraints to industrialization in the region. And there we are just highlighting them. One is inadequate and poor infrastructure. Infrastructure that is fit for industrialization. Secondly, there is a deficit of skills. I think there was a question, the last question, concerning that if you want to industrialize, your institutions, especially the education institutions, they have also to be aligned to the vision of industrialization. So there is a deficit of skills, but lastly, there is insufficient financing for industrialization. These are the 3 binding constraints, but I will draw your attention to the last binding constraint, which is insufficient financing, because the CBE program is trying to address that constraint. Now, just to appreciate how we are doing in terms of investment in the region, total investment in the region has been averaging around between 20% and 24% of GDP. 5 member states, which are Botswana, Lesotho, Seychelles, Tanzania, and Zambia, performed above the regional target of 30%. The target for the region is 30% if we are to realize our aspiration of eradicating poverty in the region. So this is the picture as it stands now. Now, in terms of foreign direct investment is very important because it brings in innovation, technological transfer. FDI is increasing steadily at an annual average rate of 14%, making it one of the fastest growing regions in the world. Few countries there, we are stating South Africa has benefited from that. Botswana also, Mauritius is also benefiting from this inflow of FDI. Now, if I can just talk briefly about the business environment, I will draw your attention to the web, which is on your far right. This is how we stand in terms of the business environment when we look at from the regulatory point of view. We see that only 5 member states, if we look at the ease of doing business by the World Bank, 5 member states are among the top 100 member states worldwide. Mauritius at ranked 20, South Africa 82, Botswana 86, Zambia 87, Seychelles 96. 8 member states improved in their ranking. Those are stated there. So this is from the regulation point of view. This is how we stand. But that picture at the end portrays that we are not converging. A few are converging to the center, but if others, we have to do a lot of work in order to converge. If we take, the Minister of Trade was emphasizing on one of the pillars of the strategy, which is competitiveness. Now, this looks at the competitiveness of the region. Competitiveness in terms of the whole economy, institutions in the region, but also efficiency, innovation, those pillars. We see that it's not different from the regulatory environment. 4 member states are ranked within the 100 bracket: Mauritius, South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia. So this is how. I'm just trying to paint the picture of the region, how we are viewed by investors, but also both domestic and foreign investors. Now, coming to the program which is being launched, it's to support improving the investment and business environment in the SADC region. And the background is there. An increase in FDI tied to what the region aims to do, which is to reduce poverty and create jobs. And creating a favorable investment climate is central to expanding and diversifying the economies, creating new labor skills, developing infrastructure, and enhancing participation of member states in regional and global value chains. The financial system is very important, and specifically there we are highlighting one of the aspects of the financial system, which is financial inclusion, where you want to aim at not leaving anyone behind, but everyone should participate in the financial system. Now, the overall objective of the program is to achieve sustainable and inclusive growth and support job creation, and the specific objective is to develop the region into a SADC investment zone, promoting intra-regional investment and foreign direct investment in the SADC region, in particular with regard to small, medium enterprises. Now, the program is focusing on 3 result areas. One is the enabling investment policy framework across SADC member states, supporting that area, that the investment policies are supportive to investment. Secondly, enhancing integration of financial markets in the SADC region. And thirdly, enhancing financial inclusion. 2 and 3, if they are done, they will support investment. That's why 1 is critical, that when you have mobilized the financial resources, the environment has to be conducive for that investment. So, to your far right, it's the specific main interventions that will be carried out. So, in a nutshell, this is what the program is intended to achieve. And this program is also tying to the theme which the incoming chair, Tanzania, has chosen, which is improving the business environment for investment and intra-regional trade. So that's in the nutshell. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mtonakuta. He was speaking in his capacity as a Director for Finance, Investment and Customs at the SADC Secretariat. I'll now call him upon again, this time to represent the Executive Secretary of SADC, Her Excellency Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax, who's unable to give her remarks during this launch, but he's been mandated to do that. Mr. Mtonakuta, thank you.
Thank you once again. I will read the speech for my ES, who has not been able to be with us. He was looking forward to be with us, but the incoming chair just called her for a debriefing. Mr. Paplis from the European Union, responsible for the investment and innovative financing, representatives of the business community, members of the media, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, may I, on behalf of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, and indeed on my behalf, convey our heartfelt gratitude for your participation at this launch of the 11th European Development Fund support to improving the investment and business environment program in the SADC region. I wish also to extend the Secretariat's gratitude to our cooperating partners, the institutions and organizations who share our vision and have partnered with us to make the launch of this program a success. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, SADC acknowledges that creating a favorable investment climate is central to expanding and diversifying the region economies, creating new labor skills, developing infrastructure, and enhancing SADC countries' participation in regional and global value chains. The new program follows a number of cooperation initiatives between the European Union and SADC, of which the most recent was the Regional Economic Integration Support Program, which was nested in the 11th European Development Fund and ended in December 2018. Support to improving the investment and business environment program builds on the assistance provided under this program that ended in December to implement some of the aspects of the SADC protocol on finance and investment, broadening its scope, which under the program which ended in December was limited to supporting implementation of the Regional Action Program for investment, harmonization of SADC tax regimes, cross-border payment system, and financial inclusion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the support to improving business environment program comes at an opportune time when the theme for this year's summit of heads of state and government is a conducive environment for inclusive and sustainable industrial development, increased intra-regional trade, and job creation. The theme emphasizes the need for a conducive environment to propel an inclusive and sustainable industrialization can be achieved if a conducive environment that facilitates business, especially private sector, to flourish is in place or exists. More importantly, the environment should allow all levels of private sector and players from large businesses to small businesses to operate efficiently. The theme also focuses on the desired outcomes of the industrialization process, namely increased intra-trade and job creation. In this case, industrialization is to be seen as a demand-driven process, necessitating the flow of goods across borders and thereby creating the much-needed jobs. The program will contribute to the implementation of the theme by taking forward the implementation of the SADC industrialization overarching agenda and drawing an important connection on how a conducive business environment can facilitate and act as a catalyst towards the development of an inclusive and sustainable industry in the region. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we heard in the earlier presentation, the program overall objective is to achieve sustainable and inclusive growth and support job creation through the transformation of the region into a SADC investment zone and promoting intra-regional investment and foreign direct investment in the SADC region, in particular for small, medium enterprises. Through the program, SADC seeks to support member states to meet their growth challenge by placing transparent and accountable institutions, market access and competition, inclusiveness and economic integration at the center of the region's strategy for attracting sustainable private investment. Hence, the program envisages to capacitate member states in implementing policies that support investment and ease of doing business in the context of domesticating regional commitments such as the SADC investment policy framework. In this regard, I would like to underline that the program is anchored on the SADC regional investment policy framework, which identifies 5 policy action areas to help member states to improve business and investment climate. And these are promoting a coherent and transparent investment environment, enhancing market access and competition, providing security and protection of investors' rights, ensuring responsible and inclusive investment for development, and promoting regional and international integration. The regional guidance has become a reference instrument for investment region-related reforms among SADC member states. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of the binding constraints to industrial development in the region, as already presented in my earlier presentation, is a lack of financial resources. To address this challenge, the program will support the enhancement of the financial markets in the region, including financial inclusion. Functioning financial markets are critical in facilitating effective allocation of resources among sectors. Enhancement of financial inclusion will support those that are excluded to participate in economic activities while also increasing savings which are critical for investment. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to assure the delegates present, including the business community, that SADC is committed to developing and sustaining the conducive environment for business and investment. SADC is committed to cooperating with stakeholders, including the business community and international cooperating partners, to create this environment. This Industrialization Week is testimony to this commitment. I would like to emphasize that SADC is committed to ensuring that there is a continuity of these activities beyond the life of this program. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let me acknowledge the invaluable cooperation we have with the European Union. Through your support, SADC has made progress in a number of areas of regional integration. I wish to assure you that as we launch the program, the Secretariat is committed to implement it and deliver on the critical expectations of the ongoing EU-SADC cooperation. With these remarks, it is my honor and privilege to declare the 11th EDF support to improving the investment and business environment program in the SADC region officially launched. I thank you.
Thank you for those remarks. In the Secretariat, we are in a third gear of going paperless. Hence, the launch and the unveiling of the new product is being done digital. As you can see, it was being shown. We almost coming to the end of the program. I just thought I needed to emphasize throughout our discussion and as we continue, I think there have been a lot of key messages, but I just want to highlight three: that we need a conducive environment for business, we need to industrialize, we need to enhance intra-regional trade, and we need to create more jobs. And I think the product we've just launched could not have come at a better time than now. At this point in time, I will be calling on our organizers to come and give housekeeping announcements. While they are coming to the floor, allow me to just invite our partners from the European delegation to come up front for a family photo with the Secretariat staff from the Directorates of Industry, Trade and Development, and Finance, Customs and Investment. If you can just come up front for a family photo, and at the same time, the housekeeping announcements will be made. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. We just want to make a quick announcement about Friday's program. I know we haven't been able to circulate as many conference handbooks as we would have liked to. There was an overwhelming registration, and much of them were taken by the government delegate that was here on Monday. Now, on Friday, the host country, Tanzania, has organized factory site visits, 6 of them. So what they're planning to do is they're going to cluster delegates into 6 separate site visits. The site visits are for places within close local to each other. The information is just outside at the SADC Secretariat booth to your left, next to the metal detectors. If you could just go out there and meet the ladies, they'll give you the form to sign, and we will confirm your attendance for Friday on Thursday morning. Thank you. Sorry. May I just have your attention, please? Quick announcement, housekeeping. Tomorrow, we're actually going to start the actual SADC Industrialization Week based on the parallel sessions that happen as per request by the SADC Business Council and the SADC Secretariat. So when you come in tomorrow, there will be an information desk just outside to tell you the different rooms and the different sessions, as well as the speakers for all 4 sessions. In the morning, we're going to start with energy and efficiency, meeting on energy efficiency, which will be in this room. The other 3 rooms will be spread around the building, but there'll be information at the desk in the morning. We hope to meet you tomorrow. And if you follow us on Twitter, we'll be posting the different sessions and the speakers tonight. Thank you.
Tutakuwa na mkutano mwingine hii jioni. Ndio utakuwepo peke.